oh, this is weird. I can't get up. We had to call an ambulance. And I remember that the paramedics, they struggled picking me up. It was two dudes. And they were like in there. They weren't old. It was an Asian dude and a black dude. And they're like, yo, kid, you're pretty heavy. I was like, fuck.
Welcome to The Worst Asian Podcast, where a couple Asian American millennials give you our shitty opinions on all things Asian. My name is Lingjie. I'm here with my co-host, Ben.
Well, hello there, sir.
How you doing?
I am well.
I see you just changed clothes.
I did.
I also just changed clothes.
You did. There, look at that. We did a little wardrobe change.
Some BTS inside baseball kind of stuff. Ben and I record multiple episodes back to back. But for the whole social media part of it, we don't want to look like we're wearing the same shirt all the damn time.
I just realized that when you say like bring a change of clothes, like, oh, you're right, because it's like 4 episodes straight of, is that his only thing that he wears? How old is that hat?
My wardrobe is actually very, very simplistic. So even though I'm not trying to wear the same thing every recording, I have clothes that look very much the same.
You're like Doug Funny.
Plain unbranded tees.
I've been getting a lot of people critiquing my appearance on the videos, by the way.
Critiquing your posture in general.
Not so much the posture. They're like, you need to shave more. Don't wear your hat. Blah, blah. So now I'm trying to be a little more kempt.
Dude, doesn't matter.
You know what? Just doing what I can. Just trying.
Do you think you would care less if you were not single? Honest question.
Oh,
like
dude.
if you had someone long term, you're stable, you don't have to worry about that shit like me. Would you care less about how you look on the internet?
I'm not gonna lie. I still do care about how I look.
Even if you were in the long term.
Yeah, like I don't want to be fat because I'm still fat. When I was skinnier, I still remember how good it felt.
Right, back when you were 16 years old.
Exactly.
2 decades ago, it felt great.
It felt good still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would like to keep that going. Its joints feel much better.
You know, it gets harder and harder to get into shape the older you get. There comes a point where, let's just say 40 years old, right? Just arbitrary number. There comes a point when you pass that barrier, it's going to be impossible for you to get into quote unquote peak shape.
Oh, dude.
So unless you do it now and you maintain it, you're just never going to get there.
Steroids.
Great. Steroids.
Yeah. You know, TRT, HGH, MSG. All that good stuff.
Just insert MSG into your body.
Just like have a syringe. Like,
turn more and more delicious.
Umami.
I feel very umami today.
Yeah.
But you actually did a couple push-ups before we started recording this episode.
Lingjie didn't know this, but I actually do some squats and push-ups just to get myself pumped up because I'm a little tired or hungover for these episodes.
I thought you were actually trying to like pump up your muscles so you look better on camera. I thought that's why you were doing push-ups and squats.
I didn't even think about that until you said it. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. It'll give me the pump.
You're just trying to get the blood circulating through your body.
It needs to circulate to my brain more. That's what I need right now.
You should just hang upside down like a bat. Hang upside down like a bat. Get as much blood into your head as possible.
Oh, get an aneurysm.
We should do this podcast with you hanging upside down.
Like a fucking tomato. I love it.
How have you been this week, aka the past 10 minutes since we recorded the last episode?
I got to go work out in your living room. That was nice. I'm wearing our official Worst Asian Pod merchandise.
The one singular t-shirt that a fan gifted to us.
Yes, thank you so much. Shout out to Eric, I will say.
Speaking of gifts, I also want to give a shout out to Isabel. She hosts Proudly Asian, another fellow podcast friend. She sent us a bunch of gifts over. And specifically, she sent you a gift that will not work. Which book did she get you?
She got me the #1 New York Times bestseller, Time Management for Dumbasses.
Dumbasses. Time Management for Dummies.
Oh, dummies, yes.
But the best part of it was she wrote on a little gift note. It said, last attempt to save Lingjie's sanity.
Yes. Thank you for the gift. I'm probably going to return it for cash. And buy alcohol with it.
Ben's going to burn it as fuel. Fuel for his fire. It gets cold in the winter here.
I was it for my barrel fires and shit. And thank you for the doll, by the way. It's extremely fucking adorable.
She got you a boba tea doll as well.
Yes, I don't drink boba at all.
Going back to the book part, she doesn't realize that you don't know how to read.
I don't know how to read, so I'm hoping it's a coloring book. And when you mean time management, I'm assuming you just mean how to keep me occupied for 15 minutes. I will try my best to keep it in between the lines.
Thank you, Isabel. We appreciate the gifts. We really do.
You are the sweetest. Thank you, Isabel.
What do we got today? Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I think was very confusing to both you and I. We started recently hearing this term, third culture kid.
Yeah.
Now, when we were kids, when we were growing up, I don't think this was a common thing that was thrown around, right?
I think everyone, there was a bunch of us that were going through it. We just didn't know it was a community.
That's what it was called, right? So the whole point of this podcast is for Ben and I, and for you, the listeners, to listen to our bullshit as we try to discover more about our Asian heritage. So
Yes.
given that this term third culture kid has become very popular, how much bullshit can we talk about it today? That is the point of this episode.
I think we could safely say we could do at least 2 hours worth of complete bullshit. Top-notch bullshit.
With a very underlying slim foundation of facts. That's what we're going to do.
It's like made out of what? Like fucking fiberglass and shit?
I'm just going to define the term third culture kid as the internet and Mr. Google Sensei would like to be.
That's how you know when we don't have much material, is when we start actually giving like real definitions and shit.
I want to give the real definition so that as we talk about our bullshit, people don't get confused.
And they're like, oh, these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
This is a comedy podcast, guys. You don't come here for the facts.
Nope, not at all.
Okay, as the internet would like to say, a third culture kid is one... I already fucked this up. Is
As a kid.
is a child.
Uh-huh.
Is a child who grows up in a culture different from the one in which his or her parents grew up in. Now, on the surface, this sounds like it describes a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Just by that definition, you would think that you and I
Fall under it.
but not necessarily, because you and I, you more so because you were born here, would just be considered an Asian American who from time to time has some conflicts with his identity being American or being Korean, right?
Yes, or Mexican.
But a third culture kid is, for example, someone that is like the child of a business person who travels to different countries to do business for like 4 or 5 years and travels to another place to do businesses. So that's more the category of kids that we're talking about.
Oh, and that's some next level moving shit.
Right.
Oh.
Ambassador kids, people who go to like different countries to represent their own country. So they stay in that country for a certain period of time, then move back. So the biggest question I was able to find that like helps you differentiate a third culture kid is you can ask the kid, where do you consider home?
Got you.
So this helps to differentiate between you. Like for instance, Ben, you are born in America, but you're Korean American.
Yeah.
Your parents grew up in a different culture.
Yeah.
But if I ask you, Ben, where do you consider home? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I consider myself a Queens boy.
A Queens
Flushing,
boy.
Queens.
America, New York, Flushing, Queens, all that jazz.
Yes,
But
sir.
if you were to ask a third culture kid, for better or worse, positive or negative, a lot of them can't just pinpoint one particular place that they call
They
home.
have to think about it.
They're transients of both places, and they may not necessarily latch onto one country as their
Right.
quote unquote home.
Huh. I never really thought about that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of people like that, especially in today's society with the advancement of travel.
Everything's international, so it's so much easier to travel around for work and for whatever. You know, like
Yeah.
some rich ass people send their kids overseas to international school, right?
That's true. I know some kids that like a lot of managers that I've met in my life.
Yeah.
Apparently this is really, really well off. Like it's the top school for hospitality. It's located somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Sweden, I think.
Hospitality?
Yeah, so it's like a managerial school for like the hospitality industry.
For food and beverage?
For food and beverage, hotels,
Hotel? Okay, yeah, okay.
entertainment, like
Right.
clubs. But
Huh.
there's a school for it. So you have all walks of life, right? But the number one thing, it's very, very expensive.
So you gotta be a rich ass parent.
You have to be rich. So anytime I hear someone that comes in and
like,
they're
this dude got
manager,
money.
they're like 22, 23, suited up and shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid is a spoiled ass brat. He doesn't know shit for shit. And that school is known for being a notorious party school, by the way.
Oh, so kids are going there to quote unquote learn, but they're just
Learn.
like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like they're using daddy's money to like go into the industry where they don't really give a shit about. And
But does that person come in and grab a job that's above you? As a 20-something-year-old, they get a job that's managerial level above you, and then you having been in the food, hospitality, blah, blah, blah
years.
for
Yes.
decades, you probably have some bad feelings towards that kid.
yeah, and this is the thing. It's more so like there's a huge difference between when you're, let's say, like you worked at a job and your boss was in their 20s and you're right now in your 30s. You know there's going to be, he's going to, the way they just communicate,
Is different.
it's going to be ass.
And they're too by the books because they don't have much real life experience.
By the books, they can just be assholes. They're entitled. They're bratty. You know, like
You're picturing someone right now as your
I really am, because I met so many of these type of people where they just come in because they got the degree. Either they're just really lazy or they just don't know what the fuck they're doing. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but now I remember. There's a lot of them where they come in where they're from Texas, you know, but like they also came from like originally their parents are like from European descent, but they consider some white, you know, but they consider themselves like, oh, I'm born and raised Florida, you know, I'm a Miami boy. And then they go to this, you know, European school for, you know, a good amount of years. And then they come back a completely different person.
Oh, by the way, guys, I'm not sure if I said this. Third culture kids is a term not just for Asian people. It's just a term in general for all kids. So you could be from Europe and move to Asia, to Australia, wherever. It's just kids that just get like thrown around like a bunch of balls.
Yeah, you could be like South African or something. You move to the States, and then from there you move up to Canada. The possibilities are endless.
Something that I've always thought about when I first heard about this is what's so different about this compared to me? Because I, unlike you, was not born in America. I actually went to France for a couple of years during my early age, and then I came here as a pretty young kid as well.
Right.
So I've never really had this struggle in terms of growing up and thinking I'm between different countries and whatnot.
Can I ask you this? Like you asked me, but like, what do you consider yourself?
American. Like
right?
I don't have that struggle, and because I don't have that struggle, does that mean I don't qualify under this? Not that I give a shit if I'm called a third culture kid or Asian American, Chinese American, whatever. It's just that
you wouldn't be offended if I go like, yo, what's up, Frenchie?
Okay, that coming from you, I might just punch you in the face, man.
Why? With what? Your baguette and shit? Au revoir, monsieur.
Yo, if you take a baguette and you let it sit there for a week, that shit it's like a bat. It gets hard.
It's an edible bat.
A stale baguette is pretty goddamn hard.
That is true, actually. They're pretty large.
They're large.
That's actually true. You're right.
You chose the one thing where I actually might hurt you if I hit with you with it.
Yo, if you take that and just like jam it straight into someone's face.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Have you ever been to like a baguette slice that was like too hard? Actually hurts the roof of your mouth.
It's almost like a dog bone at that point.
Yeah, it's fucking hard.
That is true, actually.
I've heard from people, because I don't have much memories of my childhood in the France, but I've heard from people like there's that constant smell of coffee and fresh baked bread all over the city. It is part of the cultural norm just to have like a nice pastry.
Is it true you French people?
Why are you saying you French people?
You French people.
I just told you I'm Chinese American.
You smoke your cigarettes and your black coffee and go
you love
sacre bleu.
You love any excuse to do your shitty French accent on this podcast.
What do you mean, Lingjie? This is my French accent. Do you not like it?
Anyway, so I don't think I have that struggle.
So this isn't the worst French podcast?
Adjacent side question. Did you have any struggles identifying as being a Korean or as an American kid growing up?
Oh, dude, hell yeah. I grew up hating being a Korean male. I didn't know it subconsciously, but like I think that's why I'm the only Korean in our friend group. I realized too.
Our close friend group.
Yeah, and I was just like wondering about that, and I realized growing up, I was like, man, Korean people or Korean men. My point from growing up with my father, I had the best relationship with my father growing up. Now it's great. I love him. You just recently talked with him. He's probably talking mad shit about me.
Talking mad shit about you. I love talking to your dad, talking shit about you in the language that we both don't understand.
Yes. He's like, Ben. My son? No, not my son.
We do a lot of hand motions and a lot of shaking our heads.
Yes. That's a universal way of saying I don't know shit. I cannot understand you.
By the way, as a quick side note, this is probably 20 years too late, but you're the token Korean guy in our group.
Yo, what's funny? My dad actually growing up my dad was pretty racist. Actually, he's still pretty racist. Because he's like that old school.
He's old school and different time.
So
you kind of give him a pass.
But growing up, he did not like you guys. I remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and
was this because we were Chinese?
It was literally because we were Chinese. And then shout out to our fat friend. He's like, don't trust fat people.
Joke's on him. He has 2 fat sons.
And that's why he hated it. But I remember growing up, my dad did not like the idea. He's like, if you guys all get into trouble, your Chinese quote-unquote friends are going to rat you out because you're the only Korean. He fucking hated you guys. And to the point where I remember...
It's a strong word, by the way.
Yeah, no, he probably did. Because he was like, yo, these Chinese people are going to probably put my son in jail and shit. That's what he thought. And then I was like, no, Dad, they're a bunch of like little bitches. Like, they're harmless.
Wow. Thank you, by the way.
And like, he wasn't used to that fact that I had a curfew growing up. I had a curfew. I couldn't stay out past 10.
Yeah.
And there was one time we were at a fat friend's house. It was all of us. My dad was so pissed. He wanted to meet all of you. And he made all of you guys stand next to each other outside.
I don't remember this. Was I there?
You were there. And you're all there. And my dad was yelling at you and you guys didn't obviously understand what was going on. I was embarrassed and shit. He drove all the way. He's like, what's the address? Blah, blah. I was like, yo, my dad's going to come pick me up. And he's going to murder y'all. You need to leave the country right now. And then our fat friend had his hands in his pocket. And
I remember this now. Yeah. The hand part.
Yeah. And then my dad got so pissed. He's like, you disrespectful fat fuck. And he never forgot
we
that.
We can laugh about this now because we're all friends.
Yeah, exactly. My dad loves you guys now.
He didn't like that friend just because he stood there with his hands in his pocket while your dad was yelling at him.
And he wasn't being disrespectful. He was just cold. He was like, I didn't know. He was just cold. And my dad was like, how dare you,
It's funny. Our fat friend wasn't even that fat back then.
He was the skinniest out of all of us.
Maybe at some point.
When he was born. Like, as soon as he came out, I think that was when he was the skinniest.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
How the tables have leaned. Yes. But yes, going back to what you're saying. So you don't feel like a little Frenchy doodle.
The French part definitely not, because I had so few years there.
Did you know French?
Yeah, I was there for kindergarten for a year before, and then also for kindergarten. So I'm sure
you had the little hat.
Dude, not everyone fucking walks around with a beret on their head.
Oh, that's what's called. Yes,
you're just picturing people with berets, cappuccinos, and like a baguette.
You didn't have a baguette in your little parcel?
I didn't have a baguette in my parcel. The two cultures I have are Chinese and American. When I look at myself, I just think, oh, I'm a Chinese American, and I feel very American. Like, America is my home. Right. I don't have that struggle. Some of these third culture kids don't know where they really lie in, because when you move around that much, or even if you just move once,
and it's so different, and it's just so impactful,
and maybe you move there later in your life, because I came to America at a relatively young age when I was 6 years old, so I didn't have as much upbringing in other cultures, right? But some of these kids like maybe come to a different country when they're in their
teens.
Then it becomes hard, because then you've literally lived a full like conscious life in a different place.
I think it's kind of like there was this comedian, I forgot his name now. I think it's Henry Cho, but he's Korean, but he was born in the States, but he has the craziest Southern accent. This accent is not fake. This is how I sound, y'all.
Yeah.
He really does it. And I'm like, holy shit, I can only imagine like
how much shit he has to go through when
right. Like people see him, you're not gonna think like he's American. Not only that, you would not think he's from the South.
Does he look very Korean?
Like, he looks like he should be at a liquor store. Like he's at the front desk, or you're dropping off your fucking laundry. He looks just like that, dude. Like
opens his mouth and just sounds very Southern.
Sorry.
You can't do a Southern accent, can you? It's kind of tough.
Yeah, it's like
I go for it.
I'll say.
That's all you can say.
Yeah. My lord, it's hotter than a chicken roost in a turkey based oven, girl. You know what I'm saying? My lord.
That made no sense, by the way.
Yeah, where are my biscuits, huh?
There is a difference between. Oh, what do you think about fobs? The term fob.
Is it kind of like derogatory now?
Fob, for anyone that doesn't know, means fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
It used to be more derogatory, and maybe it still kind of is.
That's what I never considered, but now that I'm thinking about, like, as we gotten older, I'm like, yo, is it kind of fucked up to say you're a fob?
But here's the thing, though. The term fob, or fresh off the boat, FOB, is exclusively only used within us Asian people. You don't have white people calling us fobs or FOBs. It's only us Asians pointing at each other like that Spider-Man meme and just like saying saying fob or fresh off the boat. It's kind of like our own internal derogatory term of each other.
I think you bring up a really good point in the sense of like, we have such a strong connection to our culture. Even though we're born and raised here, we celebrate Lunar New Year in terms of food and cooking, all that. Like, we're still very heavy involved. Language as well. I guess a lot of Americans growing up, including ourselves, we probably do our best trying to reclaim or still hold on to our heritage, our home country.
That sounds more like the struggle of an Asian American, like a second generation or later Asian American, like that struggle to hold on to your Asian part of it,
right?
Because you're so heavily rooted in America,
right? Because like, you know, a lot of white Americans, they are technically of European descent, right?
Right, but they're generations removed from that, so it's not the same.
Generations removed, right? They just consider, like, most people in Long Island, they'll be like, I'm white. But like, I would say Italian Americans are still very strongly knit into their culture. But
Irish too.
Yeah. But there's still there's a very big difference between an Italian American and an Italian overseas fresh off the boat.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see that. And they will even differentiate that.
Right.
I guess where it comes back to the whole identity thing.
You were never called fresh off the boat because you were born in America. I probably at some point during my young adolescent life was probably called that. What I'm trying to ask is, like, when do you shed that title? I no longer consider myself fresh off the boat, clearly, because I've Americanized to a point where this is my home. I understand the culture here. This is my culture as much as it is America's culture.
I personally just consider you, you know, straight up Flushing head. You know, that's the term, right? Where we say Flushing head.
Yeah, just a Queens boy.
Yeah, I personally don't like being referred to as a Flushing person because of all the negative connotation that comes with it.
That's a side note. You don't like being called a Flushing person?
I don't like telling people I'm from Flushing.
Huh. I've never heard you say this.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of negative connotations that's tied with it. And a lot of it, unfortunately, are associated with Korean males. I mean, there are some like Chinese people that are bad. It's the sense of like the darker side of Flushing.
So you would rather be called a Queens person, a Queens resident?
Right.
So whenever I make these social media posts, I shouldn't put location Flushing, Queens. I should put Queens instead.
I don't give a shit to that extent, but it's like, it's funny. A lot of people that meet me, they're like, oh, you know what? I didn't think you're from Flushing, Queens. I figured you're from Cali. I get that a lot sometimes. Like people think I'm from Cali.
I know West Coast Asians have a different vibe. That is for sure.
Yeah.
But the vibe that you and I give off have always been very Queens.
I agree. But it's also like, it's just, we grew up in a pretty bad time with schools, especially with the violence, right? A lot of our friends talk a little ghetto, and to this day, they still talk a little ghetto.
Right.
When you see that, it's like, like that's not really you, but at the same time, it is because you were born here.
Maybe that is them. Like, there's that whole thing about Aquafina. She has that.
Oh, black scent.
A lot of it is because she grew up in neighborhoods where predominantly black, or she grew up with friends around that. And when you naturally assimilate to a culture and you pick that up, not because you're fucking trying,
right?
Just because that is a natural part of growing up in that neighborhood,
right?
Can you say that her accent is not authentic or that it's fake?
See, that's the thing. For me personally, I think because people are not exposed to someone like her, where she's authentic as it comes to being like, another person from
Queens,
from New York and shit.
Yeah.
So I can relate and I can defend her.
But how do you feel about her now later in her life where she has kind of dropped that accent? Or she's trying harder not to push that out there as much?
I don't really mind because I don't think she's changed her personality for as much as you can say, because I can use Cardi B and Nicki Minaj as examples too.
Yeah.
Cardi B, she is like queen of the BX, right? The Bronx and shit. She still has her personality, but she also knows she has to conduct herself, and that comes with it with the spotlight.
Right. Sometimes different situations, you have to just tone things down, tone things up. It's the same reason why you wear pants to a job interview, right?
There you go.
You don't go to like a job interview in sweatpants, but you are still the fucking same person. You're the same person whether you're wearing a 3-piece suit or just sweatpants.
Right, exactly. So like, for example, at my job, it's predominantly, I would say, clientele is black. And I have people say like, yo, you're like a black Asian. And then they're like, oh, like, I hope you're not offended.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in the black community, when they use the N-word, right? That's not our word to say, but it is, for me, it's a term of endearment. So for them to say it to you, it's like, oh, thank you. It's like I won a fucking Emmy or something, But to this day, I personally, my rule is I will never use that word.
Of course not, yeah.
Yeah, but some people in our community, whether you're Spanish or other descent, they still use it because that's what we grew up with. So for me and you, like, we hear people talking like that. It's nothing weird to us.
Right, just because we grew up with people that don't look like they should be talking like that, but who do talk like that.
Right. So, it's becoming like more of like a smorgasbord of like, oh shit, what's going on?
Yeah, shit gets confusing. It's like,
that's what I'm saying. It's very, very confusing, this shit.
Queen's very own J.K. Cho. Right? Yeah. The way he talks, you're like, yo, how is this little Korean kid talking like this in a certain way? Just because that's how he grew up.
Right. They're going to say, oh, he sounds hood and shit. But it's like, no, that's just kind of how he talks and shit. That's just what we're used to. So
that's how I grew up.
And people listening to us now, funny enough, we do have international listeners.
Before this podcast, I didn't realize the style in which we talk.
Yeah.
Not so much the accent, because I don't think we have an accent per se that's like from Queens, but just the vocabulary, the lexicon that we use, the terms.
The lexicon. Oh, is that a type of ring? Is that a type of diamond? Someone definitely did not get their GED and graduated here. Ooh. Nothing wrong with getting your GED, by the way.
Identifying what culture is the main thing that separates Asian Americans, Asians, and third culture kids. Because I can't imagine what it would be like to actually move around to a bunch of different countries. Yeah. And then like, where is your home? What do you identify with? And it gets fucking confusing.
So, be like, for us, our next step would be like, either you or me move to like Hawaii now. Now we become like a Hawaiian, Korean American.
I'm going to Hawaii in a couple months for vacation, by the way.
Yeah. And then be like, yo.
I love Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. Shout out to Hawaiians. We love y'all. Brother.
Ben's doing the rock click.
Mana.
The finger thing with your thumb and your pinky.
Yeah, I don't know. Hawaiian, Samoans.
Mana is a skill set that I always try to have high when I play World of Warcraft.
They're gonna be like, fuck you, dude.
Is it called mana?
Aloha and mahalo. You know what I love about Hawaiians? You Hawaiian girls, all of you know how to fight. I realize that.
Yes.
You girls are low key scary. Because I dated some of y'all, and you guys are not shy about that. I noticed that. Not shy at all whatsoever. So, but yeah, that would be kind of our thing, right? If we just move to Hawaii, and that's like, because Hawaii has such a deep, beautiful, rich culture. So now you're learning that, but you're also a New Yorker, but you're also Chinese.
But then if you were to move to Hawaii, let's say next year, and you live there for the rest of your life, where would you identify as? Would you still identify as a Queens kid, as a Korean, or as a Hawaiian? Well, you wouldn't be a Hawaiian because we know there's a whole politics about that and everything. But
I think it's like, because I know obviously Hawaiians have some beef with like, white folks.
Obviously.
Right. So, but I think if you're Asian, you get a pass. And eventually you could be considered a local. That's what it is. To be considered a local, I think you have to, because there's a lot of Filipino and Japanese Hawaiians that aren't, but they're considered locals now.
Isn't there something where even those people would not call themselves Hawaiian?
There is a derogatory term, which I totally forgot, that they say to you
If you're a
non-local and they don't want you to be a local.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
We need to look this shit up later.
Yes. If they call you a local, it's like a term of endearment, like, oh,
Right.
you belong here now.
Right.
Like, that's kind of what it is.
So you might call yourself a local resident, but you never call yourself Hawaiian.
Right. Like, I don't know, a local moco. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yo,
Which
I
is
love local mocos, by the way.
Which, by the way, it's fucking delicious.
We have so many tangents today, but I love local mocos.
Hawaiian breakfast is very heavy.
It's delicious. It's carb.
delicious.
It's meat heavy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's actually really fucking heavy.
Weird side note, Hawaiians make some of the best French toast. And it
Oh, I
took me
never had
some
that.
while, but it's because
For real?
Hawaiian bread is delicious.
Oh, I never thought about getting fucking French toast there.
Strangely enough,
Yeah.
Hawaiian diners for breakfast and brunch and stuff,
They're fire.
you wouldn't think that the Hawaiian diner game would be that good.
Check it back on the episode with the Chinatown Koreatown battle. Where we talk about our respective cuisines. Clearly Korea won, but Lingjie does talk about dim sum. Chinese breakfast of champs.
Yes.
Hawaiian breakfast has to be up there.
Local mochas are freaking good. I try to make local mochas at home. It's just never
not
the
the
fucking
same?
same. It's not the same.
It's the same thing with like poke bowls and shit here.
Poke is so readily available in Hawaii,
Yeah.
and it's so good. Obviously, because you're right by the water, so it's fresh, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that we have here in New York and on the West Coast, it's too sauce heavy. Oh, we have the same type of
Right.
fish.
Yeah.
Let's just drench this shit in sauce and call
yeah,
it
let's
poke.
mask it.
That's why I miss poke from Hawaii so much, because you go to like a supermarket,
Yeah.
any random supermarket or place on the side, it was just as good.
You could walk into a 7-Eleven and get fresh ass tuna salmon.
Yeah,
That's the fucking thing about that shit.
I'm looking forward to my trip over there.
Oh yeah. Enjoy. You said when you flying out again?
I'm gonna beep this part out. I'm flying out.
All right, cool. You'll know because I'm gonna fuck it up and eventually leak it. I'll probably go on vacation time during that too. Then that's why.
We have to record a bunch of episodes prior to my trip because I'm going for a couple weeks. If you guys see that there's like a 2-3 week gap in episodes, 2 reasons.
Yeah.
Either Ben didn't show up for these recordings prior to it,
I did not go to Hawaii.
or I just didn't want to edit the things prior to us leaving. But I'm going to try my best to pump out as much stuff as we can prior to.
I do like this version of Lingjie. I do feel less stress because like when the wrath of Lingjie is activated,
Dude, I
it
haven't
is-
yelled at you so much because I'm so more laid back with your bullshit.
Yeah, and when he does, oh man, it just ruins your day. You're like, yo, I can't.
I'm going to tell you something that might ruin your
The
day.
wrath of Khan.
Okay? Because the listeners think they should be on your side. So me and Ben had a session once recently. He didn't show up on time. Fine. So then we could not record 2 episodes.
Yes.
It upsets me to see him every single week.
Yes.
So he didn't show up, or he was not feeling well. Yada yada. Some bullshit. He couldn't man up and just record a couple episodes, right? So
Wow.
I was like, hey Ben, if I somehow find time to record tomorrow,
Yes.
will you show up so that we can record this week again?
Yes.
And I don't have to see you next week.
Yeah.
This guy says yes. But the thing
Yeah.
about Ben is he doesn't think about the consequences of his actions.
Yeah. I don't see the.
He didn't show up the following day again. He woke up late or some shit, so we couldn't record. But what he doesn't know until right now is that when I meant if I, Lingjie, find time, when I said that and he agreed to it, I stayed up all night editing the episode so that I could have the following day free to record. And he just didn't show up.
See, yes.
Because Ben doesn't think about his consequences.
I did not think about that.
He did not think about that.
I'll tell him literally now.
You think everything exists in your little bubble and the stuff you do. I'm only saying this to throw you under the bus in case people are on your side. So,
Oh, I will speak on Lingjie's behalf right now. I know I fuck up a lot. And it's
but
just
sometimes you don't know the
how-
extent to
the
which you're
gravity.
fucking.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't realize.
Yes.
I don't realize that. And well, it got a little hot in here.
Ben feels bad now.
Oh shit! Is global warming happening now? I think it's happening in your living room.
All right, fucker. Let's get back on topic. I got a little bit upset now.
Oh, third culture kids. It
Third culture kids.
sounds like a band.
Should make a band out of it.
Going back to what you're saying about wherever you live now, I think it's like recency, right? So if we move to Hawaii, right, and you live there for let's just say until like 10 years, right, at least.
Yeah.
I think it's fair enough to say like, yeah, I'm Hawaiian.
But the whole point is this is for a kid in this mixed environment where he's being shuffled around. You and I, as adults, we're pretty like set in our ways.
Right, we're
And we have
comfortable, not insecure.
It doesn't bother you as much. But I can understand at the same time if you are that kid that's being bounced around
Yeah.
and people ask you where you're from and you have to go through like a whole long explanation.
Right.
I'm born here, but my parents are here, but I lived here, but now I'm here, but I'm going back next year to here.
Are you thinking about more like the psychological like,
Exactly.
consequences, I guess you can say about this? What it can do to someone's growth? That is true, I guess. I guess it depends on the environment. So if you move, right? Like imagine like we're here, right, in New York, and you like for most part you had your friends here. love of your life, maybe, you know, like your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, right? Now you get uprooted to another country or state, and it's like, you're fucking miserable. And then it's like, oh, I can't stand it here. So yeah, I guess, yeah. Like you talked about consequences, there are consequences that come with that kind of thing.
There also are some benefits too.
Of course, yeah.
Because sometimes you can be the bridge between different cultures.
Yeah.
You have all this mixture of cultures that a kid who hasn't traveled around would never experience. You get a little bit of the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I would say you're definitely thinking glass half full, but for sure. No, because for most part, let's be real. Like if you move and you're a kid, you're in like you're like the only Asian kid in like a predominantly white and black school. Right. You're probably gonna get bullied. Hopefully that's not the case, but there's a good chance you just might get bullied just for being different.
That's because just all kids are a bunch of assholes sometimes.
Exactly.
Like at a certain age, no matter what race kid you are, you're like a bunch of assholes.
Dude, remember when I broke my leg in high school, right? My first year going to high school, you know, and I'm nervous as fuck. Every new school or every year I went to school, I always had a stomach ache, so I couldn't sleep the night before.
For real?
My mom actually was the one that pointed. I was like, you know, you always get really sick the night before you have to go to school. And I realized, I was like, holy shit, like, yeah, you actually have a lot of anxiety and like, you're really nervous.
Oh, that's surprising. I feel a little bit bad for you.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
And then I realized you made me stay up all night to edit, and then you didn't show up. So
yeah, so I have like, I guess I have like really strong anxiety, which I didn't think about because I would just get sick. So I'm like, oh, I'm just sick.
Damn.
I remember she's the one that pointed out. I was like, oh, you're right. And I broke my leg, and I remember it was so miserable because, you know, I couldn't go live, like, it was my first year of school, so I couldn't like make friends the way I wanted to. You know, like when you finish class, even just like taking the stairs together, like hopefully
you and your friends could just like walk down to the next class,
you know, or like at least like break the ice. Because I broke my leg, I had to take an elevator. Right.
Oh, it was a totally separate part of the school.
It was like in the back. They already had an old man elevator operator. He was so creepy. It was like fucking what's that dude from like Notre Dame? The Hunchback
of Notre Dame.
Yeah. It was like that guy. And like he was like my only friend. So I had to always leave a little earlier because I didn't want to interrupt. Longer. Yeah, because I didn't want to bump into the kids in the hallway and I'll leave later. So I couldn't have any real interactions growing up.
During that 1 year that you
had? During
the
first year, which was really hard. I remember I had this one guy, this fucking senior, fucking took my crutches, and he actually tried to like take them away from me while sitting down. And I was like, dude.
What a douchebag.
Yeah.
What a douchebag. We need to find that guy right now.
Yeah, it's like a fuck him up. Because I will fuck you up right now.
Ben grew up into a very angry child, so.
Yeah, fucking.
Because of you.
230 pounds off. I will fuck you up. I will massacre you.
The root of Ben's anger comes back to that one kid that took his crutches.
Those push-ups is dedicated to that guy right now.
But do you want to tell the listeners how you broke your leg?
Oh, fuck. I broke my leg.
They can sympathize with you, but let's hear how you broke your leg.
This is like the story of my life. I'm such a fat fuck at this point. I don't even know what it was. We were walking up on Northern Boulevard in Flushing, and I had a cup of ice or something. I threw it up in the air. I tried to catch it.
Matrix style. So I'm leaning back. This is on a decline of a hill, kind of. I don't even know how this happened, but somehow my leg snapped under the weight of my fat fuck body. I'm laughing now because this is
and I fell, and it happened so fast. Like I remember my friends, they started running and stuff because we were just like goofing around, but I couldn't get up. They eventually, I remember they were like blocks down, but they eventually came back.
They're like, where's that fat fuck?
Yeah.
Where is he now?
They come back and they're like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, yo, I can't get up. I thought I had a cramp and I tried to get it up. It didn't hurt. I was just like, oh, this is weird. I can't get up. We had to call an ambulance. And I remember that the paramedics, they struggled picking me up. It was two dudes. And they were like in there. They weren't old. It was an Asian dude and a black dude. And they're like, yo, kid, you're pretty heavy. I was like, fuck. And then I remember I was talking to the paramedic. I was like, yo, what do you think is wrong with my leg? He's like, I don't know. I was like, it's probably a cramp, right? Like, I never had a cramp in my life.
You never had a cramp.
But I didn't want it to be broken.
Because you never moved that much in your life.
Right. And I was like, it can't be broken. There's no way. I get to the hospital. They do the x-rays. They're like, yo, kid, you broke it in 4 places. And this is the worst part. My fucking father, right? I remember it was at Flushing Hospital. My dad, right? He comes. This is the worst part. My pediatrician calls me. He's like, you know what? He's Korean too. He calls me. He's like, see, this is why I've been fucking telling you to lose weight. Because you're so fucking fat.
Wow.
You broke your leg.
Pediatrician.
Yeah. So I'm like, great. I feel like shit now. Hang up on it. Then my dad comes and he's like, you fat fuck.
Wow.
He's like, see, like, this is why you got to lose weight because you probably broke it because you're fat. And the doctor's just there like, oh shit, I feel bad for this kid. The way they do it is they give you a drug. I forgot what it was. It was great.
MSG.
It was fucking delicious. I numb my whole body or leg, But I remember he was just literally what they do is he just shredding out strengthening and stretch out your legs.
Did you forget how to speak English?
I could. I was trying to combine strength and stretch and straighten. They stretch your leg out, and then they slowly just start wrapping your leg like it's a piñata.
Oh shit!
That's what they do. That's how they get the cast on. And I'm fucked up. And this is the crazy part. I'm in the ER, right? My dad goes right next to the doctor, starts doing the Asian squat, and he starts fucking doing the shit with him. And I'm like, Dad, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, son, I'm helping the doctor. I know him. I was like, dude, what the and this is the crazy part. The doctor's cool with it.
He just let him do it.
Now my dad is my own nurse. They're literally just like hunched down, fucking pulling my leg, wrapping it and shit. I'm on drugs. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. My dad is fucking just fucking gun ho. It's like, fuck it, I'll do it. I think he helped my leg. I don't have a limp. I can still work out. I can still play sports. I can still play basketball.
Isn't one of your legs taller than the other?
So yeah, dude. Oh man, that was another thing I remember I was so pissed about. So growing up, I do sometimes occasionally have like ankle injuries. And I was like, why do I keep spraining my ankle? My left leg is shorter than my fucking right leg.
It's which leg was broken?
My left leg is broken and it's by 4 centimeters, which is at least an inch, I believe. At least. It is.
You know what? I actually don't know if that's an inch or
the
not.
fucking conversion rate, right?
We're in America. Fuck the metric system.
Yeah, I think it's like 1.25 inches.
That's a lot.
That's a big difference. Exactly. So, that's why I'm having always like these like weird issues and stuff. Like when it comes with my hips, my lower back. So yeah, I forget where we're going with this. I'm a fat fuck. I broke my leg.
I think you were trying to say that you also had a weird time transitioning schools like other third culture kids. I think
yes. Oh shit. That's what we're talking about. Third culture kids.
A long time ago, you had a point there, but I forgot your point was.
But I guess the point is, it's just like it's hard being a kid growing up and moving and uprooting.
The benefits of being a third culture kid. For instance, you try to learn more about your Korean culture, right? But you have never, for the most part, experienced actual authentic Korean culture over there. We learn about our Asianness. It's kind of like secondhand experience, right?
Secondhand smoke, sure.
These third culture kids have had real experiences in their home country. So like
that's true.
Their experiences being of that culture are firsthand experiences, which is a complete positive. You and I are just trying to bullshit our ways through being Korean and Chinese.
I bet, depending on how old you are and you move over, you probably miss the fucking food. You're like, oh, it's just not the same here.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, right?
There's like a certain age point, and maybe my wife is like right on the borderline of it, but her sisters came here when they were in their teenagers.
Oh, so they
had that culture really like in their blood from being over there.
Right.
But then my wife was like at the tweener age where she was just old enough, but not old enough.
Right. Yeah, I would say like the food is probably the most important. So you're like, oh man, this reminds me of food, or I mean, home, or like, oh my god, I used to eat this growing up as a kid. You know,
food always triggers these memories in you, like no matter where you are.
Do we have a third culture friend? I'm trying to think about that actually. I feel like I do, but they're not like close, but like I definitely know some coworkers for sure
that came to America later in life.
Yeah, and then like because how they say like, oh, do you consider yourself a New Yorker? I think for the most part, I consider New York as like the one place where you don't have to live here that long, but there's some things that like I think for New Yorker, it's just like, be fast.
Put your head down. It's okay that the guy doesn't have pants on the subway.
Exactly.
It's fine. That's just a normal morning.
Like you're toughened up and stuff.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, you're a New Yorker. You maybe hop the subway train once in a while in your life. You're a New Yorker.
Although non-New Yorkers kind of like think New Yorkers are a bit rash and harsh.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Dude.
It's that weird thing. It's like how you and I shit on each other. And on the surface level, we just seem like a bunch of loud, annoying douchebags.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of true, but we're not like that as much. We have respect for women. We have respect for other people. You have
occasional respect for me.
I have occasional. Very, very infrequent.
A garnish.
New Yorkers sometimes get a bad rap because on the surface level, to other non-New Yorkers, we seem very harsh.
Right. And, for us, I think we rather appreciate you being harsh and real instead of being fake and nice and talking shit behind our back.
Yes.
I mean,
talk shit to our faces.
Yes, exactly. Tell me like, Lingjie, that's why I love him. And I had this one time with this homeless guy, right? I was at this house party, right? And we're all trying to leave. Well, I was trying to leave. The last person I was with, it was this kid. He was fucked up. Like, he smoked tons of weed, but he didn't drink to the point where he just started vomiting as soon as we got outside.
When did we talk about the vomiting thing? Was it during this episode or during the last one?
I forgot.
Okay.
A lot of vomit stories. And he's vomiting. I'm like, holy shit. Everyone left. I was like, I can't leave this kid. So he's on the sidewalk sitting down now.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, like, just stay here. I'm going to go to the bodega and get you some fucking water. So I go to the bodega, right? I get the water. I even got him a cup. I come out. There's a homeless guy outside, right? He's like, hey, brother, can you spare $1 and shit? And I was like, yo, my bad. My friend is really fucked up. He's over there right now. Let me check up on him and I'll come right back and I'll get you some food.
Yeah.
And I was dead ass serious about it.
Yeah.
This homeless motherfucker was like, get the fuck out of there. You don't have no drunk friend over there. You're just trying to make some bullshit excuse. And I was like, and by the way, I'm still walking and yelling like out in the street, right? to like have this conversation because I didn't want to stop because of my friend. I was like, yo, if you don't believe me, bring your ass over and follow me right now and I'll show you my friend that's fucked up, all right? And you can help me then. How about that?
Did he follow you?
He did not follow me. I just hear this motherfucker just cursing in the back now. And I'm like, this motherfucker, that's a New York conversation in a nutshell.
And then you guys shook hands and afterwards, it's fine.
Afterwards, I was like, see, I told you, bro. You didn't believe me, right? Yeah, who feels stupid now? I get to my friend. This motherfucker actually disappeared. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Oh, so then you look like you're just bullshitting.
I look like I was bullshitting now. Yeah. I'm looking for him. Thank God he got to a fucking cab. But that was pretty much... I was pissed. I was just like, great.
This sounds like the story of The Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis.
yeah. But it's like
your friend was never there.
Yeah, it's like me. Like I was like my best friend's at a bar, but that guy never existed.
He never existed the whole time.
Yo, imagine the bartender's like, "Yep, that's what happened after he lost his wife."
Yeah.
Yep.
New Yorkers, generally speaking, will always help you out. We just do it with a attitude sometimes.
Yeah. Do you think New York is a spot to be a third culture kid?
Oh hell yeah. Oh,
right?
hell yeah.
I think we can agree with that.
Yeah, New York is so diverse. Queens especially is so diverse. No one gives a shit where you identify with if you're from Queens.
Right.
No one gives a shit. And if you look different, great. Where's your neighborhood? Where's your hood? Because there's a hood for every fucking culture in Queens.
Wherever you are, and if you have any doubt like, damn, will I find my home here in New York? There's probably that place or that person or that group that you'll be, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Japanese, Chinese, Korean, whatever it is. Jewish, it doesn't matter.
You know, it's funny. The Japanese scene in New York City is pretty mid.
Yeah, what is that? Is also let us know. Japanese people tend to be in Astoria, Sunnyside.
They're very scattered. There isn't a heavy Japanese town in New York City, which you would think there would be.
I think the closest thing was St. Mark's, right?
St. Mark's was just quote unquote the Japan area, just because it had a bunch of
yakitori spots
and ramen spots, and that was it, and like a couple anime shops. That was it. There is not a heavy Japanese population here, unless they're just really, really quiet.
They're the real ninjas.
Actually, now that I think about it, the whole country of Japan is dealing with this population decline. So maybe...
Oh, shit.
Maybe we have the same shit happening here.
Like, there's just that little Japanese people.
I saw something on the news recently where the Prime Minister of Japan was saying, like, if this population decline continues, we cannot exist as a society in this country anymore.
Damn.
Like, try to put people on blast. You need to start making some babies.
Yeah. Start fucking raw. Raw dog everyone.
I just had nothing to say.
That's what the Prime Minister said. He's like, people of Japan, we need to raw dog with each other more.
You gotta be like a bunch of rabbits.
Yes, more cream pies.
It's okay. It's the year of the rabbit anyway.
He's being for real. Like, that's true, man. Like, Japan as a society, man, they're fucking awesome, dude.
Let's just wrap up this topic about TKC, third culture kids, and Asian American.
Not Taekwondo.
Not Taekwondo. Wait, Taekwondo. That's not even the same letters, dude. It's made me think twice. That's a TKD. This is TCK.
Oh, okay.
Gotta take care of the TLC.
Okay, from Louis C.K.
Anyways, third culture kids, relatively new term, I would say, that's been popular around. So in case you guys didn't know what it was, you listened to this episode, now you still don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's some of our listeners that definitely go through this, whether you're like, any dissent, like, please, like, chime in and let us know, because that's a really interesting, you must have a very interesting story. Hopefully it's been more good than bad.
I think at the end of the day, your feelings about who you are is just the amalgamation of all the different experiences that you've
lexicon, amalgamation. Look at this guy. Lingjie's.
What's your favorite new word of the podcast?
Can I say lexicon?
It starts with a D.
What is it?
Diaspora, dude.
Oh, yes. Diaspora.
We're going to put that onto a t-shirt. If we make a t-shirt, it's going to say DEE Spora. It's going to say DEE-A-Spora.
Shout out to our one of our listeners for calling me out.
A bunch of listeners called you out on that.
Yes, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yes.
You probably saw that one single message, but a bunch of people loved your pronunciation of diaspora, aka diaspora.
Diaspora, guys. The thing that Lingjie said is it's better than
Neosporin.
Exactly. It's stronger than bacitracin.
Ben, you know it's bacitracin, right?
Tracin, bro.
Say it again.
Bacitracin.
All right, getting on to our favorite topic of the topic, our favorite segment of the whole podcast. Oh, sorry, I just had a bunch of saliva in my mouth. Ranting and raving.
Ooh.
All right, Ben, what are you upset about in your shitty life this week?
What's it? So you know when you're taking a shit?
Yes, I take those every day.
Yeah, so when you're taking a shit, right? And you know how now they have these like electronic sensors and stuff, so you don't have to touch the handle and they just flush automatically?
Oh, like at the public bathroom? Okay.
Right.
Which are good?
Right. So there's a problem when it's too sensitive. So what happens is, let's say sometimes you do a little movement and then it starts flushing while you're still sitting on it.
Oh, and then it's like a whirlwind, like a tornado of your shit water.
And now it's a very disgusting bidet. Bring up your asshole. And then the worst part is like, oh fuck, let me, I gotta wipe, blah
But
blah.
it's
right?
everywhere.
Right, it's everywhere. And then what the worst part is, like, after that's done, it's so sensitive. It still does it again when you're not done. So I had an experience where this thing kept fucking flushing my asshole.
While you were still
shitting. So please. I don't know what's the sensory sensitivity, if there's a Bluetooth control for it.
The Bluetooth control.
But yes, it is a very shitty feeling. That's the thing. So that is my rant.
Have you ever used a bidet?
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yeah.
I don't think I can recall ever actually using a bidet.
Really?
I've been to houses where they have the toilet that have the bidet, but the only plus side I like about those fancy toilets is when the seat is heated.
Yes.
Fuck bidets. Just get me a heated toilet seat.
Yeah.
Game changer.
This might be the only thing where I've done something more rich than Lingjie, which is use a bidet. It sounds like
it's more sanitary. People say it's more sanitary.
It's honestly, my butthole feels way cleaner. I feel like I can shake people's hands with my butthole. Like that's.
There's like so much with you and your pants off all the time. I don't know what to say.
Prime Minister of Japan. Hold on, let me take my pants off.
They're not common here in the US, but in Asia and Europe and everything. It's the norm. I guess we are weird. It's not that is weird. It's we are weird for not having bidets.
I just feel like also like when I wipe, I don't know about you, but like I feel like I have to use so much toilet paper when I'm wiping. Does
that speak to the size of your butthole, or does that speak to the mess you create?
Yeah, it's like a marker. Keep swiping.
Do you have a bidet in your house? No, right?
Are you kidding me? No. Hell no, bro. I have a ladle. That's what I use, bro. I have a fucking ladle next to the toilet. That's what I use, bro.
I'm trying to figure. I'm actually trying to picture how you would use a ladle.
I have a turkey baster. That's what I have, bro. It's a fucking turkey baster.
That actually might be better. like a turkey baster can actually squirt up your butthole, but a ladle, I'm not sure how you would do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just feeding my asshole with the ladle.
It just walks to the backyard with the garden hose. And
there you go. What about you, man? What do you got? What do you got this week or this past 10 minutes?
Do you wash the dishes, Ben?
Yeah.
Do you wash chopsticks?
Yeah.
Is it me, or is it like frustratingly hard to wash the tips of the chopsticks clean?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sometimes I just don't give a shit, and the tips are not that clean. But when I actually try to like
clean it thoroughly when
my wife is looking at me when I'm doing the dishes, and I have to do a better job at it, I'm like, holy shit! You literally have to take the sponge and every individual tip of it, and especially if it has like something crusted on, it takes fucking forever to thoroughly clean your chopsticks.
That is true. I hate when you have to clean up or do your dishes for certain things where it's like, oh man, there's a lot of like, you have to put more muscle into it. That's why I don't like cooking with cheese sometimes.
With cheese?
Yeah, so like if you make like a pasta dish, sometimes it's like, oh man, your pan isn't that nonstick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you baked it in or some shit. It's like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to like really get into this mofo right here.
But like chopsticks can't be solved except for manual labor. You can't stick a dirty, crusty chopstick tip into a dishwasher and just expect it to come out. Like there's no fucking way it's gonna come out clean.
It's like so thin that the water doesn't. It can't graze the water.
I guess now that I'm saying this out loud, you could technically put it upside down in like a cup of water inside the sink and just have it slowly dissolve a little bit. But even then, you still have to scrub every tip.
Yeah, it's so extra work.
Sometimes I'm like, I just want to use wooden replaceable non-replaceable, replaceable. You know what I'm trying to say? Like take out chopsticks in my house instead, because I feel like there's less cleaning of that.
I will say this: we have our CFO. Every time we go, over his place, when we have like a gathering, I do think it's great that he does use like paper plates and cups and shit. But at the same time, like, damn, that is really bad. That is really bad. I'm gonna call you out on that, bro. I love it, but at the same time, like, damn, we should not be, because that's what it's like. Yeah, I realize how much more convenient it is. Just throw it away, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of doing the same shit too. When I have like these large gatherings, I don't want to wash a million plates.
But you're justified in that when it's a large gathering. But our guy,
you mean like on the day-to-day he does
day
that.
and day, bro.
Oh, okay, then he's fucking lazy then.
That's what I'm saying.
On the day-to-day, I never use paper stuff. I have plates because
Next time we go over and shit, you'll see. Like,
you're telling me if it's just him and his wife cooking, he uses paper shit?
maybe I'm wrong, but for the most part, I feel like I've noticed that. You see his his grand piano, his marble water fountain, and then all of a sudden there's Dixie cups and plates. And I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Fine china.
Where's the fine china? Where's the Corelle here?
He has that fine china cabinet and has like Dixie solo cups inside.
Right.
All right, guys, we're at the outro. All right, Ben. I guess we'll continue on this trend. Each time you get progressively better at doing the outro.
Oh.
Go for it, Ben.
All right, so this is the outro. This was a great episode.
Can you say this whole outro without saying the word
Let's try it. This is the outro. It was very exciting. How do you feel, Lingjie?
Amazing.
Wonderful.
I'm just staring at you, waiting for you to say
My brain is using a lot more brain power, and I'm focusing a lot harder.
Ben is sweating.
There's going to be a lot more pauses in this. You can find us at
It's really hard. Speaking is hard. As two people who scream on the internet, speaking is actually pretty hard.
Yeah, it's crazy when people would tell me all the time, like, "Oh, I want to do a podcast," and I tell them, like, "Look, I don't even do 99% of this shit, and it is hard for me." So when you're talking about editing and marketing, getting the supplies and scheduling, talk to my guy Lingjie. He'll tell you it's bad. And even for me, a guy that barely does it, even for me, I get stressed. So yeah, if you're gonna do it, there's a lot of behind the scenes shit you must do.
But mainly you have to talk. The talking part is hard.
Yes, mainly you have to learn how to talk. You can find us on our handles on most platforms. You can find us on Spotify, Google, Apple, Zanga, MySpace, OnlyFans, Workstation Pod. You could DM us on Instagram or find us most accessibly, I would say. Accessibly, right? No, is that excessively or accessible? So we're on most major platforms. We are also doing our bonus episode content. You can find it on either Spotify or Apple. Spotify has been a little spotty.
Puns. Love those puns.
Yes, it is an issue, but if you have any issues, just try to come back to us. It's great content.
Or you can just go to the episode description box. I'll have a direct link. So if you don't see that option on Spotify, you can click on that.
Right.
On Apple, I'm going to cut you off. On Apple, I'm just kidding. On Apple, it's actually really straightforward. There are no issues. Just go on the top page. It'll say like subscribe and
exactly.
You give us that $4.99 and change.
We get about $1.87 from it.
Ben is exaggerating, but not by much.
The most recent episode, we talk about how Lingjie is contemplating becoming the first French Chinese American to go into MMA.
What the fuck? I'm just processing this joke / statement, and I don't really.
He's like, yo, what
I have my baguette. I have my baguette ready. It's getting ultra stale. It's getting harder and harder by the day.
Ultra instinct baguette and shit.
I'm ready to smack you over the head with my baguette. This is probably the most important thing. Rate us and review us on Apple or Spotify.
Please.
5 stars only. We don't want your constructive criticism.
No, please don't. Just do an emoji, a thumbs up emoji, and that's it. How did I do on my intro? That was. It's getting better, right?
It's an outro, by the way. You already fucked up.
Oh, the opposite of the intro. How did you think?
It was okay. It's not that bad.
Yeah?
All right, so tell your friends and family about it. The only way that we can grow bigger and annoy more people on the internet is if you tell your friends.
Exactly. Take your girlfriend or your wife's credit card or vice versa. Subscribe to us. If you're underage, obviously go to your older brother or sister, take their card from their wallet. Go to your parents, go to your mom's purse, take it out, and just sign us up.
As a legal disclaimer, that is joke.
But yes, sure. Wink, wink, joke, joke. Yes, but do it. Please do it.
All right, guys, we'll be back every single week. Catch you guys next week. Adios.
Peace.
Bye.